Imagine you've poured your heart into a project. You've spent weeks, maybe months, getting every detail just right, convinced this is your best work. Then you step into a team meeting to present it, and your boss tears it apart in front of everyone. Your stomach drops, your face flushes, and you're caught between lashing out or just wishing the floor would swallow you whole. We've all been there. That sharp, personal sting of criticism can hijack our thoughts and ruin our day, or even our week. It's a universal human experience, a painful reminder of how vulnerable we are to the opinions of others. But what if you could not only endure these moments, but use them? What if criticism, instead of being a source of pain, could become a source of power? The ancient Stoics philosophers, like the Roman emperor Marcus Aurelius, the playwright Seneca, and the former slave-turned-teacher Epictetus, were masters of this mental shift. They didn't just preach resilience. They engineered a practical system for living a good life, a life of inner peace, no matter what was happening outside. They understood that in a world full of judgment, the real battle isn't with the critic, but with our own minds. In this video, we'll explore their timeless wisdom and unpack 7 profound lessons to help you navigate feedback, transforming harsh words into fuel for your personal growth. Section 1. Master the dichotomy of control. The first and most foundational Stoic lesson is a simple but life-changing idea: the dichotomy of control. It divides the world into 2 categories: things that are within our control and things that are not. According to the Stoics, the only things truly in our control are our own thoughts, judgments, and actions. Everything else, other people's opinions, their actions, our reputation, even our health, is ultimately outside of our direct command. The great Stoic teacher Epictetus put it bluntly: it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This statement is revolutionary. It means that criticism itself isn't what causes our suffering. The sting we feel comes from our judgment about the criticism, our belief that it's unfair or that it means we're inadequate. The Stoics argue that we create our own distress by trying to manage things we can't possibly command, like what someone else thinks or says. Imagine you post an idea online and a stranger leaves a scathing comment. The impulse is to feel anger or shame. A Stoic, however, would pause and apply the dichotomy of control. They'd recognize the comment is an external event, completely outside their sphere of influence. They can't force the commenter to be kind. What they can control is their response. They can choose not to internalize the negativity. They can see the comment as just one person's opinion, not a final verdict on their worth. By focusing only on their own reaction, they reclaim their power. This isn't about being passive. It's about strategically investing your energy. Why waste it fighting battles you can never win, when you can instead fortify the one fortress you truly command, your own mind? Section 2. See criticism as a necessary gift. Once we understand what we can and can't control, the Stoics invite us to reframe criticism itself. Instead of seeing it as an attack, they saw it as a potential gift, a source of information that could help us grow and avoid future mistakes. It's an uncomfortable gift, to be sure, maybe one wrapped in sandpaper, but a gift nonetheless. The Stoics believe that a life without any feedback is a life of stagnation. If no one ever points out our flaws, we risk becoming complacent and disconnected from reality. Marcus Aurelius, arguably the most powerful man in the world at the time, wrote in his private journal, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, by which no one was ever truly harmed." This is a powerful stance of humility. He didn't see criticism as an insult, but as a team effort to find the truth. He knew the real harm comes not from being corrected, but from persisting in self-deception and ignorance. Let's apply this to a relationship. Suppose your partner says you've been emotionally distant. The ego's immediate reaction might be denial. I'm not distant. I'm just busy. But a Stoic approach encourages you to pause and unwrap this uncomfortable gift. Is there a kernel of truth here? Even if the delivery was clumsy, is the underlying message something you need to hear? By seeing the criticism as valuable information, you turn a potential fight into a moment of connection and self-improvement. This doesn't mean every piece of criticism is 100% accurate. The Stoics weren't naive, but they believed that even unjust criticism gives us a chance to practice patience and self-control. The key is to shift from a defensive mindset to a curious one. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? When you do that, you turn a potential poison into a powerful medicine. Section 3. Consider the source and practice empathy. Not all criticism is created equal. The Stoics were pragmatists and knew it's vital to evaluate where feedback is coming from. Before you let a comment ruin your peace, they'd advise you to consider the source. Is this person someone you respect? Are they knowledgeable? And do they have your best interests at heart? If so, their words probably carry weight and deserve careful thought. However, a lot of the criticism we get comes from unhappy strangers or people projecting their own insecurities. In these cases, the Stoics teach a powerful lesson in empathy. Marcus Aurelius advised, "When another blames you or hates you, go to their souls, penetrate inside and see what sort of people they are. You will realize that there is no need to be racked with anxiety that they should hold any particular opinion about you." This isn't arrogance. It's about understanding human psychology. Often, harsh criticism says more about the critic than the person being criticized. An angry comment might come from someone who's lonely, frustrated, or just trying to feel powerful by tearing others down. Their words aren't a reflection of you, but a window into their own suffering. Imagine someone leaves a comment on your work saying, "It's terrible and you should quit." Instead of absorbing the hate, try the Stoic approach. Consider the source. An anonymous username. Practice a moment of empathy. This person might be having a terrible day or lashing out to feel seen. By understanding their likely motive, the insult loses its personal sting. It's no longer about you. As Seneca wisely noted, you wouldn't kick a mule back or bite a dog that bit you. You recognize it's their nature and move on. By depersonalizing the attack, you protect your inner peace from being disturbed by those who have no real place in your life. Section 4. Detach your self-worth from external opinion. At the very heart of the pain of criticism is our desire for external validation. We want to be liked and approved of. The Stoics saw this dependency as a form of self-imposed slavery. Seneca warned that if you're always seeking approval, you're handing over the keys to your happiness to an ever-shifting crowd. To find true freedom, we have to learn to detach our self-worth from the fickle opinions of others. Marcus Aurelius marveled at this strange human habit, writing, "I have often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, but yet sets less value on his own opinion of himself than on the opinion of others." Think about that. We trust strangers more than we trust ourselves to define our worth. The Stoic solution is to cultivate an internal scorecard. Your value isn't determined by applause or criticism. but by your character and your commitment to living by your principles. Imagine you've just released a project into the world, and it gets mixed reviews. If your self-worth is tied to the reviews, you'll be on an emotional roller coaster. A Stoic, however, would practice detachment. They'd listen to the feedback and extract any useful truths, but they wouldn't let the opinions define them. They'd remind themselves that their worth was established in the act of creation, in the discipline and courage it took. The outcome and the reception are external factors. This is the path to unshakable confidence, one that comes from within and makes you impervious to both flattery and condemnation. If you're finding this exploration of Stoic wisdom valuable, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. We truly appreciate that form of feedback, and it helps us share these powerful ideas with more people. Section 5. Cultivate the power of the pause. Our immediate, unfiltered reactions to criticism are rarely our best. When we feel attacked, our primal instincts kick in. We get defensive, angry, or ashamed. The Stoics understood that in the space between a stimulus and our response lies our power to choose. They were masters of creating this mental space through what we can call the power of the pause. When you're faced with criticism, the first step is often to do nothing. Just resist the urge to react immediately. Take a deep breath. If it's a verbal comment, allow a moment of silence. If it's a written message, step away from the screen. This pause isn't a sign of weakness. It's an act of self-control. It lets the initial wave of emotion, the hot flush of anger, or the cold dread of shame begin to subside. It's only in the calm that follows that we can access our rational mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." The pause is what gives you the time to make that choice. Picture getting a critical email from a colleague that feels completely unfair. Your fingers are itching to type out a furious rebuttal. The Stoic approach is to close the draft. Get up, walk around, maybe give it an hour or even a day. When you come back to it, you'll see it with new eyes. The emotional charge will have faded, and you can analyze the content more objectively. You can figure out if there's any merit to their point, separate from the poor delivery. Your reply will shift from a reactive defense to a strategic, calm, and professional response that is far more effective. As Seneca noted, anger is a temporary madness. The pause is the antidote. Section 6. Respond with virtue, not with venom. For the Stoics, the ultimate goal was to live with virtue. The 4 cardinal virtues are wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Every challenge, including criticism, was seen as an opportunity to practice these virtues. So, how you respond to an insult is a direct reflection of your character. Responding with anger or pettiness means lowering yourself to the level of the critic and violating your own principles. Seneca tells a story about Cato, a prominent Stoic, who was struck in the face. Rather than retaliating or even accepting an apology, Cato simply acted as if nothing had happened. Seneca explains that Cato showed a finer spirit in not acknowledging it than if he had pardoned it. The best revenge, Marcus Aurelius wrote, is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Your goal isn't to win the argument or to hurt the other person back. Your goal is to maintain your own moral high ground and act with dignity. Let's put this in a modern context, like a tense family gathering where a relative makes a passive-aggressive comment about your life choices. The easy response is a sarcastic comeback. The virtuous response is harder, but much more powerful. It could be gently changing the subject, showing you refuse to engage in the drama. It could be a calm question like, It sounds like you're concerned. Can you tell me more about that? Or it could be simple indifference, showing their words have no power to disturb your peace. In each case, you're choosing virtue over venom. You're not only disarming the critic, who is often looking for a reaction, but you are also reinforcing your own character. You walk away with the deep, lasting integrity of having been the person you want to be. Section 7. Maintain perspective with memento mori. Finally, the Stoics used a powerful mental tool to shrink problems down to size. Memento mori, or remember, you must die. This might sound morbid, but its purpose is actually life-affirming. By reflecting on the vastness of time and the short span of our own lives, the insults and criticisms of today are revealed for what they are: temporary and ultimately insignificant. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself to zoom out and adopt a view from above. He would reflect on all the people who came before him, the empires that rose and fell, and the fact that soon both he and his critics would be forgotten. He wrote about the clacking of tongues and how absurd it is to care so much about the opinions of people who are themselves temporary. This perspective doesn't create despair. It creates freedom. It liberates you from the tyranny of trivial concerns. Think about a criticism that caused you intense embarrassment 5 years ago. Can you still feel the sting with the same intensity? Probably not. Time has already diminished its power. The Stoics just chose to accelerate that process mentally. When you're agonizing over a harsh comment, practice memento mori. Ask yourself, in 1 year, will this matter? In 5 years? On my deathbed? Will I be thinking about this? The answer is almost certainly no. You'll be thinking about the love you shared and the experiences you had. This perspective reminds you that your time and energy are precious. Don't waste them on the fleeting opinions of others. Invest them in living a full and meaningful life, just as the Stoics taught. Conclusion. The wisdom of the Stoics isn't about suppressing emotion or becoming a robot. It's about transforming our relationship with our emotions and the world. It's a practical training system for the mind, designed to build an inner citadel of peace and resilience that can't be broken by external events. So let's quickly revisit the 7 lessons. First, master the dichotomy of control, focusing only on your own thoughts and actions. Second, see criticism not as an attack, but as a potential gift. Third, consider the source and practice empathy. Fourth, detach your self-worth from external validation. Fifth, harness the power of the pause. Sixth, respond with virtue, not venom. And finally, maintain perspective by remembering that all things are temporary. These aren't just philosophical ideas, they're practical tools to use every day. The next time you face the sting of criticism, remember these lessons. Choose not to be harmed, and you will not be. The Stoics believed in learning from one another. So, I have a question for you. Which of these lessons resonates with you the most? And how do you plan to apply it in your life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story could inspire someone else. And if you found this guide helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more timeless wisdom on living a better life. Until next time, stay resilient.